All right, everyone. We have got a super special guest today to talk about. Um, he put out a really interesting video, and I want to talk about the substance of his video as well as just his sort of what he does in the hobby space as well. But before we get into all that, big thank you, Ben from the Bonehead Podcast. Ben, like, thanks so much for coming on, man. Like, it's so cool to get like some of these bigger creators. So I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, Dan. It's a pleasure. As I said, I'm always happy to talk hobby with basically anybody whenever I can, and it's quite amusing to hear you say that we're a bigger creator because I don't. It doesn't feel like that. I don't consider us like that. That's quite cool. That's very cool, actually. Thank you.
Well, and it's funny, like there's a lot that so we'll talk about your video and talk about going. I'm sure probably people have seen it, but then to sort of dig into that dichotomy, right? How I'm sort of what I consider a much smaller creator, and I feel you're in like kind of that 20 to 30,000 rank, and then
Yeah.
you've got sort of the bigger, who I think of as sort of like 100,000 more. Is that sort of where you consider the big ones?
It's weird. I think we're on the we're a bigger small channel, or a smaller medium channel, I guess, like a mid-range channel, because you kind of go into some of the others that I think are doing really good content now. And I think in my little video, I think I called out. Oh no, I didn't call out Seasons of War is a really good example. Seasons of
Mhm.
War, miniature game montage. Like those guys are sitting in the 30s, I think, and they're doing fantastic stuff. Then you got Peachy, and Peachy's in the 50k sort of realm, and then you've got like Louise and Guerrilla
Discourse.
Militias
Yeah.
Games and stuff like that, who are 100k plus, and then you've got the really big boys like Ninjon and stuff at the 200. Then you've got the actual war games channels, Play On and Mini Wargaming at like 500, which are like they're the big boys, right? So
Mhm.
I guess yeah, I guess I just kind of, you look at the ones you follow, and the ones you follow tend to grow at the same kind of clip as you. So you kind of like, you're always like looking at like the bigger channels that you kind of learn from or look to or just enjoy, really.
Well, that I guess that's me, right? I'm in sort of the thousand, Well, I'm actually at 1,600 now, which is kind of surprising. But I am right. I'm looking at you, the 20,000s kind of people here. Um, but let's go. Okay, before we get into all that, and it's funny, like so much to talk about. But real quick, can you just tell us a little bit about your history in wargaming?
Oh wow, yeah, sure. Just a quick tour de force. So I started wargaming with Warhammer and stuff like that when I was about 6 years old. I had an older cousin, Clive, and obviously growing up, I was like, "Whoa, what's he doing?" So kind of jumped in with what we thought we were playing was third edition Warhammer. I'm very sure it wasn't third edition Warhammer. It probably wasn't second edition Blood Bowl. Space Hulk's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure we got Space Hulk right, but kind of like I joined at that point, and then really kind of boomed when Necromunda kind of hit in the
Oh
mid 90s.
wow,
That was my,
wow,
yeah, proper
wow.
stuff, the best boxes, all the old big box games. And then I never really went away. Like we did the whole, like, you go to college, you stop playing for a bit, you do exams, you stop playing for a bit, you get, a career, you stop playing for a bit. But I never really stopped. I was always the enabler. We kind of had a local club as well. So we went into Magic for a few years, and I got really far too much into Magic the Gathering. And I think my soul and bank balance was saved by a rotation after Khan's block. And I was like, right, do you know what? Can't do this anymore. No. Let's do the cheaper thing and collect Games Workshop games.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I'm like old school hobby all the way through. And then we got back into Blood Bowl properly around about when the 2016 edition happened. Our kind of
Mm.
gaming club was like, oh wow, we used to play this. Like, we used to have a league, so we kind of resurrected it, and then we started our podcast in maybe 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
COVID hit, and then everything changed. But for me, it's always been a really, really fun hobby. And we wanted to talk about Blood Bowl as a podcast because we just like the idea of sharing, talking about Blood Bowl with loads of people wherever possible. And then I am a bit of a tech geek. So I was like, ooh, how can I do videos? Ooh, I love what
Mhm.
Guerrilla Miniatures Game is doing. How can I do something like that for Blood Bowl? Because there's not a lot out there for Blood Bowl. And that's kind of how my hobby went from hobby to a different hobby in the way of the YouTube hobby. So
So,
yeah, I'm a bit of an old school gamer.
so yeah, and you're correct me if I'm wrong. You played second edition Blood Bowl. This was Death Zone back when they had the cards. Did you play it when they had the cards?
Well, for Blood Bowl,
With,
we didn't have the cards. We had second edition, which was the polystyrene pitch,
oh, that's right. I was
and
third. Okay, that is oh, that's even before me then. Wow.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean it's the same age as me, but because I have my older cousin, I inherited the second edition
Oh,
when I was
wow.
about 6 years old, and I never really looked back. Yeah. So I've still got that somewhere. It's in storage or something, and I'm sure it's covered in bad painted blood spots and stuff because it's it's what you do.
I mean,
Yeah, retro.
so that's right. I forget. I get second and third. I got into third. I saw people play on the Styrethel in second, but I got into third, and I loved Blood Bowl back then. I mean, that was back when you had the cards, the trampoline traps, and the exploding player, and
Yeah,
the
man, dirty
assassin.
play cards.
Yes, those
Yeah.
were.
To
Uh,
be fair, it's not changed much since third edition. So third edition would have been the kind of like the orc and human on the front cover with the blue box and like
mhm.
Griff with his big helmet. Yeah, that's when the block dice got introduced, and it's not really changed much since then, which is awesome. Like it's not quite BattleTech 40 years of the same rules, but it's. I mean, we're talking 30 years where the rules have basically been about the same, which is remarkable.
I
Actually,
mean,
it just shows this quality game.
I've said it in a past with on some of these things. I feel Blood Bowl is the best designed game ever. I feel it's that good. It just out of uniqueness and out of strategy and out of everything, it's probably
Yeah.
to me my favorite designed game. Um, I always say
They've
this.
done a great job of making it imperfect or perfectly imperfect, right? There's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just enough stuff wrong with the game that you focus on what's right with it. I think they've done a great. It's falling with style, and it works.
Now I haven't followed. So my last time I played Blood Bowl, I think was 2017. I was in a league, but we never. So I never really played when because I know GW they released it again. Um, whenever GW brought back Blood Bowl and basically, did they change a lot of the game or how did it feel after GW sort of got its hands back on it?
Now, the 2016 box, when that came out, I think they hadn't really done much with the game for probably about 10 years. And the
Mm,
rules that came back were basically the same as the community rules. That might have tweaked a couple of bits, tidied a couple of bits, but the box set was just like, hey, here's the game you've all been playing for 10 years, and here's some great models with it, which was awesome. That got the groundswell up. They introduced a couple of new teams for it as well. Then 2020 came out, and they did change some more stuff. So 2020 is more different, but only in sort of minor ways. Like there's a passing stat that really doesn't like it hurts some teams, doesn't hurt others. It's they've made it slightly more granular, so the teams are a
mm.
little bit more different, but it's mostly the same game.
No,
So
that's good. That's good.
yeah, yeah. We're overdue a new edition because it's 2025 now, and this one we're playing came out in 2020, October 2020. 5 years is a long time for Games Workshop to leave something alone. So the Blood Bowl community is just like, we've not had any releases for a year, and it's 5 years into this edition, and the last one was only 4 years. What are they working on? It's a point of excitement and terror in the community
Yeah,
at the
I
moment,
wonder about that. Yeah. Okay,
which
that's
is
what I
good
was.
fun.
Okay. Yeah, I've been sort of out of the GW ecosphere. I think, boy, I mean, I sort of officially got out of it whenever they nuked Blood Bowl's world, right? So yeah. So one of the things that I always learn, I'll tell you this, I love Blood Bowl, but I don't have the mental, or I would say even emotional capacity to play anymore. I can't. I just can't do it. But we all have stories, and I would love to hear maybe I'll start with my story. My Blood Bowl story is um, this was um, this was like fourth edition community, and I was playing in a league, and I was playing against I think he was like a 12 or 13 year old, and this guy was playing a chaos team, and he had a nasty chaos team, and this was back in the day when diving tackle used to if you move it into a tackle zone, they got a free tackle on you. And this dude had a Chaos Warrior who was block, mighty blow, razor sharp fangs. what's the one? The claw, where it was plus three, and all that. Somehow I managed to hit, and then I killed this guy. And there was basically, when I killed this guy, there was just this silence, and we started playing, and I began to notice this. He started to have little tears like develop on his eyes, and we were playing, and I was like,
Yeah.
and then at one
Yep.
point, he just like snapped me. He just said, "I have to go to the bathroom," and he just ran in the bathroom, started to cry. Like, so I'm just sitting there at that Blood Bowl table, like,
What
okay,
happened?
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
No, Blood Bowl is a great game for that because it
yeah,
will.
yeah,
I've joked about this with my wife because I'm like, when our daughter gets to the age where she has to understand like loss, I was like, we'll just teach her Blood Bowl. Like,
yes,
here's a thing. You can learn to love this thing, and then it's gone. And like that's a life lesson. Yes.
yes, yes. I
Oh yeah.
I
No,
will say there's a
that's a
happy
real thing.
ending. I literally, when he got back, I said he's just seriously injured, and like so. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So tell me, do you have a good Blood Bowl story for us? Anything in particular?
So I I guess through my experience of like playing a load of Blood Bowl and then playing a load of Magic. Magic was when I was at the most competitive and I got, quite salty. And then I came back into Blood Bowl to play in the local league. And since then I've had a very different relationship with Blood Bowl in that I I do my best to be like a DM. Like, so if I'm playing a friend with a game, even if we've got league teams, like what we do on the channel is we share league teams, which takes the edge off a bit, right? Because it's not like this is my team, these are my players. Oh, you're hurting my players. It's a case of like, oh, we've got this player this game. Let's
Oh,
do
that's
this.
interesting.
So it's a lot better. It allows you to kind of just focus on the puzzle aspect, and then you
Ah,
are working together to solve the puzzle. But by that, the story of the players is kind of organically happening. So all of my favorite Blood Bowl memories for the last few years have been our games, have been what we've played on the channel, because the little heroes come out like Grot Brady, the Goblin, is just an absolute hero. There was Gronk, the troll, who did a bunch of nonsense stuff. Like the characters come out, and it Trips, one of our guys, he will always try and kill like the most famous player. That becomes his thing. He's like, oh, cool, new star player, or oh, Grot Brady, everyone's favorite Goblin. I'm just going to spend the whole game trying to kill him,
yes.
and it's really good. So my favorite Blood Bowl memories have been playing the games with the guys in that way, because you're kind of absolutely maximizing. You get the puzzle, you get the story, and you don't really get the emotional turmoil at the same time. So
Mm.
that's kind of and I've enjoyed it more because you get to share the progress of 6 or 8 teams instead of just your one little team. And I'd say that's where I've enjoyed Blood Bowl the most over the last few years, like more than just like a single story of absolute Blood Bowl nonsense. Because I haven't really had much. Like, this is the really cool thing about the way we interact with Blood Bowl. So it's like we will run tournaments and we'll get 70, 80 players, and some of those players will be the kids that have come along with their dads or their mums to play Blood Bowl. And then you kind of go around and you see the tournament space, and like you've just got grown men who've been playing Blood Bowl for 30 years playing against
Yeah.
like an 8-year-old kid, and they're having a great game, and everyone sort of works together to make it a really good experience. You get a couple of salty tryhards every now and again, but it's super rare. And and I think that's the best thing about Blood Bowl as it is now is, I think, because there's such an element of PvPvE, because you are playing
Mm.
against the dice, because the game hates you. So you're
Yeah.
kind of like, it's easy to, yeah, which is why when I saw your comment in the email, I was like, yeah, this guy knows Blood Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
we
definitely.
called it,
So yeah,
yeah, we used to call it the Game of Tears. But, you know, the way you guys play, it actually makes me want to play Blood Bowl that way, because
that's what we want. It's good. It's
yeah,
such good
yeah,
fun.
it is fun. And I think if you take that personal experience, I don't know, but it's also a great thing about Blood Bowl because you get tied to these players. I mean,
You do.
it's hard, and yeah, there's no game like it. Now, I would love to talk to you about Blood Bowl, all here. But the reason I even found out about your channel, and I kind of commented to talk about this, you put out a video, And this video I think really hit. It hits. I think it hit or resonated with the community, where you talked about, and I'll post the link to the video. But you said YouTube is killing Warhammer content, and you say Warhammer content is dying, and YouTube's to blame. Maybe could you sort of summarize that video? Maybe we could. You bring up a lot of interesting points that maybe we can sort of dig into a little bit here.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I don't do that kind of video on our channel very often. The channel is basically about Blood Bowl. Do a bit about OPR, do a bit about STLs because you can't stop me. But like most of it is actually about Blood Bowl. But every now and again, I'll do an editorial video that something is kind of just like on my mind and I want to share it with people just because I see making YouTube videos as having an asymmetric conversation. Like, here's my thoughts, let me know yours, and kind of, that's kind of how I've always seen this. That's just how my mind works for it. Whether that's right or not, I don't know. But yeah, I've been watching. I spend a lot of time like either on calls or programming or driving somewhere for work, and I will listen. I've got YouTube Premium, so I'll listen to videos and stuff. And I've seen a bit of a trend. So I was listening to Jugs a good few weeks ago, and Peachy and Rogue Hobbies were talking about YouTube decline. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Fair enough. Well, and then Gorilla Miniatures Games posted his thing where like YouTube has just slaughtered me, so I have to split into different channels to actually get people to actually get these videos to go places. And then there's obviously like Mini Wargaming had done some stuff to sort of say the way we do things is not entirely sustainable. We got to change stuff. And I'm looking around and I'm like, right, GMG has been doing this for ages. He's got 100,000 subs over, and he's having to change up how that's working. Like, he's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He knows the gaming thing. And the thing for me is I love watching GMG stuff. And I wasn't really getting shown much of it. And I was like, well, where is he? Like, I know he's changed studio and I know he's replaced his intro music with worse new intro music, but like that YouTube probably has, that's not it. I would tell Ash that as well. Bless him. But like, so I'd seen a couple of these things happen, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Because when GMG posted it, I shared it on the channel because I was like, oh, look, I love Ash's stuff. And I shared sort of like he's having to make new channels, go follow his channel. So I did a little community post. And then this happened, and then GMG happened, and then Miniac posted a couple of videos. And it's like, although I was wrong about Miniac, so it was really cool to kind of like, so I took that bit out of the video because I saw he posted a video saying, I watched some of the video to say that he was moving out of his studio back into his basement, and I was like, oh, okay. Previously, he'd posted a video or he'd spoken on top about YouTube, like, because the way they talk about it is like you get 1 out of 10s, which like the way you pop a video out and it ranks it. So if it's first, it's 1 out of 10s, and they were talking about having loads of 10 out of 10s, and I was like, okay, that plus moving out, I was like, interesting. Like, he's struggling as well as GMG and Mini Wargaming and Rogue and Peachy saying this, and I was like, okay, there's seriously something here. So I was talking in my league chat about it, and one of the lads were like, lol, you should make a video. And I was like, okay. Okay, I will. Let's share this. But the whole vibe of the video was like, this is what's happening, this is what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing this. And the way that YouTube's kind of changed now is to get traction on a video, you've got to watch it for a while and you've got to comment on it, and that's what YouTube is looking at to present it. Whereas historically it was like and view, and that's enough. But YouTube's changed the algorithm. I believe it's to do something they've updated their AI or whatever. I don't know. They're just using Grok or ChatGPT to run it through, which worries me. But like that's changed. So I just kind of was like expecting this video when I do an editorial, like. The views in our channel, it maybe hits like, I don't know, a couple of thousand people, which is wicked, because I'm like, these are going to be the couple of thousand subscribers that are interested in Warhammer as a greater thing, and I'll share my thoughts and they'll comment back, and it just kind of it popped off a little bit bigger than that, and loads of people commented loads of thoughts, and I did reply to the first 200 comments, and then I got fatigue because some of it was aggressively negative. Some of it was really positive. So I gave it a week and checked out a little bit now, because I'm like, because I still get the comments coming through, and like one of them will be like, oh man, this sucks. Like, I'll make sure to comment on my favorite YouTubers thing just because I want them to be able to carry on making great content because I appreciate them. And others will just be absolute raging, like, get a real job. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit harsh. And this is not. I didn't sort of do this video because I have a job and I make the videos as hobby because it's fun and I get to play games with my friends and I get to talk about Blood Bowl with the subscribers. Like that's awesome. That's more than enough for me. But I won't lie, like it would be my dream job. I think I
Oh
said in
yeah,
the video to
yeah.
be Guerrilla Miniatures Games of the UK. That would be my absolute dream job. I'm not ashamed of that. It's never going to happen. I've got a second dream job where I get to do workload analysis and play with spreadsheets. I love that. But I also would prefer to be making Space Hulk videos for a living. Yes, I would. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was
it's
an interesting take.
and it's interesting because this video, so one video, and I don't want to, so I know Scanner Barkley, who I follow. I like
Yes.
Scanner Barkley's work. He's a Trench Crusade guy. I mean, I think if you're a Trench Crusade, you'll watch Scanner. He made a
Yeah.
response to your video. I felt, so first of all, I don't want to, like, Scanner's video is good, go watch it. But I did feel it sort
It
of,
was good. It was
it
good.
was good, but it felt like it kind of missed the point in that um there are some larger things going on at work. Like Scanner is like, he's giving you some good tips. Oh, optimize for this, optimize your thumbnails. But I felt the tenor of what you were saying is a bit more macro level. That there are some greater forces. 'Cause this is my deal. When you talk about Gorilla Miniatures and Jugs yourself, you are already really doing everything that he tells you to do. I mean, you know what I mean? You're optimizing, you're doing that. But
Yes. Yeah.
I feel what you are really wanting people to try. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. What I would say is you are wanting the wargame community to think about some of the macro things that are going on in our hobby space, in the YouTube space, right? It felt like you
Yeah.
wanted to have that conversation. Um, what would you say? Do you feel that people are having the right conversations or the wrong conversations, or do you feel that any conversation is good? How do you kind of feel about, that?
So, generally speaking, I feel like any kind of conversation is good. Now, my day job is how the best to describe it. It's like it's workload measurement and optimization. So but the funny thing about it is if I go and organize some measurement or we do some processing and I go back to any kind of process owner and I give them a number, it doesn't matter what the number is because in their mind it's either going to be higher or lower, and then the conversation happens and we get to the point where the real number kind of comes out of it. So I am very much of an opinion of like, let's just start at a point and the conversation will lead us and everyone will know more. Agreement is not a thing. Like
Mhm.
agreement does not exist, but better understanding absolutely positively does. You have to be willing to kind of accept that there's other things at play. So I believe that starting for a conversation is absolutely the right thing to do about everything. Like I don't have, like, as far as I'm concerned, in that YouTube video, like I was just like, hey, if you like watching the content, support them in whatever way you can. Like that was it.
Yeah.
It was like not to be like, hey, there are these people here, go pay for their living. It's not about that. The thing that hit me, which kind of changed my attitude towards all this, was when Games Workshop did a Warhammer Plus sneaky peek, and it had them playing Warhammer Quest, and
Oh,
like I was like, oh my god, I love, like that would be wicked. I did this, and I was doing a video, or I was doing a live stream, and I kind of had the thought, and I was like, oh my god, do you know what? I'd pay £3 a month for to watch people play through Warhammer Quest. Like that would be worth me buying somebody a coffee, and that's kind of where my mindset came to it, was because a lot of our subscribers and comments were like, that's why we support you guys.
mhm.
Like, is because like we're like, no, we love the idea of essentially giving you amount so you can pay for a coffee, like
Yeah.
to like, because we want to sign up and watch you play Blood Bowl and we want to support you, because like the whole view is it's a very different economy, and this is where it gets really muddy, is that there are people who have a full-on job, and
Yes, exactly.
it's very different from the content creators you support because you want them to carry on doing what they do. And there's a switch point, and I've not figured out where that switch point is,
Yeah.
where you're supporting a creative endeavor versus you are subscribing to a service. And the comments came out, and that was basically, if you kind of analyze all the comments, that's the angle here. is
Yeah.
that there are people who view the content they like to watch as something they want to support by, Patreon or YouTube memberships, or simply just liking, subscribing, and sharing because they want to see more of it and they want it to keep going. Or there's the people who are like, why am I going to pay for something that's free? And I
Yeah.
think the line is on that is it a service, is it a subscription, or is it supporting a creator to make fun stuff? Like I think that was the probable the politest nugget you could take away from the comments.
Well, and like I'll take my MBA and I'll say the only thing an MBA is good for is basically saying that every idea is going to fail. It's like so. But when we look at it's like
But you
uh,
don't have to have an MBA for that. You can just be
yes,
British. Like,
but no, it's great. All MBAs are just pessimists, and but what I guess when I see that, and you're hitting on some of it, and you mentioned it, how these creators $5 a month really can't compete versus Netflix or Amazon, right? There is a scale there that
yeah,
it's like when you're thinking about it from a purely perspective of competition, it's no competition, right? I mean, especially when people are going to have to pay for your subscriptions, it is like you're saying, you are really requiring, I wouldn't say even well, let's rephrase that, you are asking people to buy in, understanding that it's not competitive, right? um
yeah,
you break out two different classes, and I feel me and you were in that class. We're the hobby, well, especially we're hobbyists, right?
100%.
We do this for fun.
Yeah.
I have one Patreon subscriber who gives me $1 a month. So, and I'm so happy. I'm like, I get $1 a month. Um but so there's us, but then there is this other aspect of people who really want to do this for a living. I'm kind of getting at this. Do you feel that full-time Warhammer YouTube content creators, are those going to be a thing of the past? And is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So that's a fantastic, fantastic question. And I am woefully underqualified to give a proper answer, but what I can give is insight and my experience. So,
Mm.
because looking at it, um, now, so I'm actually working on a video that's about the real cost of doing battle reports.
Hmm.
Because my real job, I measure workload, I use it to calculate, and I look at your kind of like your living wage, and I figure out how much stuff costs and how to extrapolate and how to get a decent return on investment. So I've done a load of analysis to kind of go, okay, how long does a video take? What's your investment? How many videos do you have to do? What's your standard RPM per thousand from a Warhammer video? Get from a playthrough game? How many views would you need to make break even? So I'm delving into some of the stats on like some of the bigger channels to kind of like, okay, if you were going to make if you were going to make a company, and I think this is the great start, because that's the answer to the question is, if you're self-employed, you are a one-man company, a one-person company. So you have to look at this, and this is something that Scanner did brilliantly. Was break it like that. It's like, if you are a business, you got to take accountability for making sure that you can pay yourself as part of that business to get a living. Otherwise, you need to go and find another way to get a job, which I think is the cracking thing there. But if you were going to start a business to make Warhammer content, I think, and there are loads of cases where this is potentially not true, but I think you have to start with really high quality. And at the moment, that's not enough on YouTube, which is that's the really interesting thing, is that you can make a really high quality video, proper good cameras, really good pacing, really good editing, and it can go absolutely nowhere because of the way the algorithm sort of works now. So for me, I'm looking at Tabletop Tactics and Play on Tabletop. Those guys are solid because they make a quality of video that is equal to a streaming subscription. And would you rather play £6 a month for Netflix that's got ads, or £6 a month to watch multiple 40k games a week of good quality because you like 40k. Well, you kind of make a choice there between Gilmore Girls or 40k, like Gilmore Girls, or Robert
Mhm.
Gulliman, and you're like, okay, I would prefer the Man in Blue, so that's where my money goes because I get a quality of that. If you're in that kind of mid-range where you, and I think this is going to hit people like you and I, is as we want to grow, we're kind of potentially going to be a bit limited, and Scanner also picks on this, by how much investment we can put into the equipment to make the quality evil of that. So I think, as it stands, I I I'm sure there are people who can make it work, but just from using YouTube, I don't really see it as a feasible thing, because the amount of views you need to pay yourself a decent wage
Yeah.
and then pay back the investment. So we've got fantastic Patreons and fantastic YouTube members who've really helped us, and that's enabled us to build my studio. I call it a studio. It's a 150-foot square shed that I've insulated, built with my dad, and and then we've added the cameras over time so that we can kind of get there. But that, I think, is a really good representation of where hobby YouTube is. Like, these people like what we do, so they support us, and because they support us, it means we can make more of what they like and or of better quality. Like that, I think, is totally feasible. So
Mm.
as you know,
Mm.
your Patreons grow, you're going to get more opportunity to invest in doing extra unboxings, or doing extra reviews, or better cameras, or whatever your direction is going to be. But as for an actual living wage, I think that
Yeah.
medium tier is very much like the whole world economy, right? The middle is getting squeezed,
Yep.
and I think that's the big flag at the moment is, and how the hell do you go from 10,000 subscribers to, I mean, I would say 100,000, but Ash, who has been, like, I think the top quality creator for such a long time, Ash is now in the danger zone, and it's like, who is at 100 and something thousand, and
Yeah,
it's a
exactly.
worry.
It so there's another thing as well. So you're mentioning high quality content, but there's the other side of it. One of which is, and I like Discourse Miniatures. I really like her work, but I do feel that her work is very much fine tuned to low effort. She really does a lot of, like, and I follow her work and I enjoy it. But you can tell a lot of her work. She's not. She's basically in front of a camera, and the latest GW scandal. She's sort of, you know what I mean. She's putting that out, and there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. That's her bread and butter. But there is sort of that side of it where I feel there's a lot of people who, like, I know for me, some of my biggest responses, like my 4,000, one of my biggest ones was just me griping about GW. And I forget, and then I spend hours working on this battle report and it gets like 200 or 300 views. Um, isn't that part of it as well, that some people, like creators, the smaller creators, just really want to do cool stuff, even if it, and that's the appeal, right, of someone like yourself, where, you don't want to do all you want to do cool content that's going to target a smaller group of people who really are going to enjoy that high quality content, right, rather than trying to hit just wargaming as a whole.
Yeah, there's kind of two sides to that coin.
Mhm.
Like, we do what we do because we love sharing Blood Bowl. That's our goal. I want to, though, because of how I'm programmed, I and because probably I watched Tom Brady ruin the NFL for decades, and now he's gone. I'm kind of like, oh, maybe he had a point. Like, you got to do everything you can to be the best version of yourself, to do the best version of it. And I'm looking at Blood Bowl. I'm looking at where we are, and I put a video out the other week. I was just like, right, what do you see other channels doing that you think is really good? How can we progress? Because all we want to do is, we want to play Blood Bowl and we want to share it, but we
Mhm.
want to do it in the best quality and best way we can, because we want our time to be worth it. But really, like, the guys don't care. They play the game. They're just here to play Blood Bowl. It's me. It's like, I want to make the best quality I can because I find it interesting to do the process. And I think the better quality content, the more people you're going to find to get into Blood Bowl, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
my primary driver, because
Exactly, exactly.
it's just, it's But I think that's it. It's like on one side you've got people who do it because they want to share their hobby and have fun, or the technical challenges, which like I'd say we were in that bucket of like we want to make stuff that we find interesting and share it. And the other side is that kind of like making content for making content's sake.
Yes.
That I think would be miserable. And you discourse, I've not seen a lot of her stuff. Like I've seen a couple of bits, and I was just like, whoa, you're loud, and not for me. So I didn't watch. But like it's kind of like making content for making content's sake is, I think, what a lot of the comments in the content is dying video is about. Like that's when stuff starts stagnating. That's when people lose interest, and that's when you can have a bit of a decline when you're forcing it. Now, you know, we're lucky. We've got OPR, we've got Blood Bowl, we've got whatever we want to talk about. There's always stuff going on. So if you're happy to just make it because you want to make it and share it, you can't lose because you've already won. As part of the act of sharing it, the more people that respond to it, the more fun you have. That's it. That's the risk. Investing in it and making battle reports are a really interesting one, because there's a huge cost overhead, and if even if no one's getting paid and you're not, let's say, like when I have a big internal responsibility driver, which the guys are wonderful at, is I'm like, oh god, like if I'm going to take up 3 hours of your evening, if I'm going to bring
Mhm.
you away from your wife and daughter, and you away from your wife, and
Yeah.
you away from your gaming time for a whole evening, I feel like I've really got to make the most of it here, guys, because I've got my wife and child in there, and I'm like, I'm not spending time with them, you're not spending time with your family, you're not doing the games, otherwise this has got to work, this has got to be worthwhile. And making a really good game that people watch and enjoy is kind of how I make it worthwhile to the people who give up their time to come and play Blood Bowl. But you've called it out, I think, brilliantly, which is if you're making something to make something for the fun of making something, you can't fail because you've already achieved that goal.
Mhm. Let me. We could talk for this for a long time, but I wanted this one other point that I think that I feel you really expressed here. And going back to your original, which is that YouTube is sort of killing it, that yourself and you feel the bigger creators are having to split their channels now into
Yeah.
targeted things. And so now, like for me, for me, I realized that like I want to talk about whatever I want, right? I just had a podcast with me and Boz, and I was telling him I'm like I want to do some battle reports on Mage Knight, even though no one cares about Mage Knight, right? It's like a 20-year-old dead game. But I feel that what your video is also saying, and I have to agree with it, that we're losing this. YouTube wants to treat us like we're little bots of games, but as
Yep.
gamers, part of it is expressing different other games. And I worry that I feel that you in that video, I believe, said you were worried about creating OPR content. And I know the other creators are now having to split those videos.
Yep.
Um, what is there something we can do about it? Or what do like how can we get creators feeling that that you can go to one creator site and be like, let this guy just talk. Let Gorilla Miniatures talk
Yep.
about whatever he wants to. Let you, whoever, just talk about whatever they want to talk about.
So that is the I think the biggest thing that I took away from just kind of like me looking at the situation is that YouTube, I think, because of the way the algorithm has changed, and the algorithm has absolutely changed. Like no one really knows what it's supposed to do, and it changes frequently. So as soon as you kind of get a gist, it will change again, and that's totally up to Google to do what they want to do with. Like, but I think in our niche, it actually hurts their like if their goal is to get us to watch more stuff, they're not enabling us to. They're not helping us to find stuff to watch, which is in their interest, and that I find puzzling. But sorry, to come back onto your question, which is around splitting content. Yeah, YouTube is kind of min-maxing, and it's like, right, these are the Blood Bowl people, these are the 40k people. They've made a video about Warhammer Fantasy. We don't really know where to put that,
Hmm.
so that's not really going to go anywhere. And there might be simplification, oversimplifying, and there are probably going to be some people out there like, well, actually, this is how it works. That's totally cool. But generally speaking, YouTube kind of builds a profile on your channel, but it uses that click through. So you've got a risk to your channel because it will depreciate the entire channel. And this is what, from my understanding of the situation, Guerrilla Miniatures went through, which is a case of like, here's the 40k stuff, and here's some borrows and badges or something else. And YouTube's gone, the people who watch this channel watch the 40k stuff, and then they didn't watch this. So I guess they're not interested in his channel anymore.
Yeah.
And it's that, like, I guess they're not interested in the channel as opposed to that video. Now, we kind of saw that because I was starting to do some one-page Wednesdays because I love one-page rules, and I was like, this is the best non-Blood Bowl game system I've played in my whole life. This is exactly what I want to be doing. And I was like, I can put one video out a week and it'll be really good. That's not going to overstress me. But it made me, I mean, there's a question there about how many Blood Bowlers actually care about OPR. All right, well, we did a community survey and it gave us a percentage that were interested in Necromunda, the Old World, OPR. OPR was about 15% of our subscriber base that did the survey were interested in OPR. And I was like, cool, if we have 15% of the views, fantastic, whatever. But what you kind of see is that it you start getting, oh Christ, the click-through rate decreases. And then what happens is your channel as a whole depreciates in value in YouTube's eyes. And that's what Guerrilla Miniatures Games was saying. It's like my core stuff wasn't getting shown because the people who watched the core stuff weren't watching the indie stuff. And that meant that YouTube wasn't showing my core stuff as well. And it became that little cycle. And we kind of saw that with the OPR stuff. And GMG has seen that. And I'm pretty sure that's what's hurting the people who want to do stuff, because I'm like you, like I love 20 different games, and I'd love to talk about all of them. At the moment with the YouTube the way it is, I don't think you can do that very much without kind of betraying your niche. And I think that's it depends what your view is. I'm talking about this from a technical YouTube point of view.
Well,
like if you're not really fast, then it doesn't matter.
and let's just sort of any people who are sort of worried, like saying, "Oh, maybe that isn't the case." I will say this: if major YouTube channels are, and this isn't just wargaming content, this is happening all over YouTube. If they are going through the trouble of starting a channel, they wouldn't do that if they didn't have a good reason, right? It's like those people who do this
There's something
24/7.
there, right?
Yeah, they're doing it for good reason. I don't know. I wonder if we as a wargaming community can, and I don't know how to do it. It seems like we could create our own algorithm for YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It feels like we're losing the soul, and it is greater factors at work. I know that YouTube has pushed us. They want us to start making shorter content, right? That's the other thing. Okay, the last
Mm.
topic I'll ask you to talk about. We wargamers are older, and I feel we like YouTube as more in-depth content, analytical content. But YouTube on a macro level is really struggling against the Instagrams, the short. That's where a lot of the big audiences are going towards, that sort of short content. And I know I get stuff from YouTube all the time. Make short content, make short content.
Yeah.
What do you kind of feel about, should we in the war game, should we move more towards the Instagram, or should we sort of batten down the hatches? I mean, what do you kind of feel about that?
So when we started our channel, I was interested in the social media space. So we had Facebook, we had an Instagram. This was pre-TikTok, and I just got personally overwhelmed with all the stuff on social media because I mean, you all know this, is how long it took me to actually reply to you and find time in the schedules. Like I am just
Yeah.
a busy chap, and I don't get a chance to so our emails, I don't have the enough mental energy and time window that overlap at the same point to really I can't see everything every day. So it may be 3 or 4 days before I get round to seeing something. And when you've got Instagram and Facebook in there as well, I was just like, I cannot do this. So I binned those stuff off. So I've kind of separated myself from that, but like that fast twitch environment, because I couldn't keep up and it was taking time away from where I wanted to be, which is making the longer sort of content. Now, YouTube pushing shorts and stuff like that, it's kind of, from my understanding of it, it's making a separate mini. So you've got YouTube, and then you've got YouTube Shorts, and it's kind of trying to be its own mini fast Twitch thing. And wargaming is an interesting one because painting shorts can be useful. Like, hey, how to actually paint yellow without pure misery in 30 seconds. I'd watch that video, right? But like, if you've got a Blood Bowl game, we've tried a couple of shorts and stuff, and it's just like, well, the Blood Bowl game, once edited, is going to take 2 hours to watch because it's a 3-hour game. Like, that's how long Blood Bowl takes. So if I was to cut it down, and this is something that I'm not very good at, is taking that. I'm too much of an analytical person, right? I'm just int J through. So I can give you the play-by-play. I'm not the color commentary guy. So I don't know how to take that 2-hour war game and turn it into a 25-minute story. I can't do it. I just don't know. I'm working super hard to try and figure out how to turn it into a story. So I wouldn't even know how to begin to put any of that in 60 seconds or 1 minute 30 or whatever it is on YouTube Shorts or Instagram or TikTok. So quite frankly, I'm like, this fad will die out and I'll get on the next one.
That's good. That's good. We're batting down the hatches. Well, I would love to keep you, and I basically have 5 other questions, but I know you've got stuff going on. Is there anything else that you would like to sort of inject in the conversation? Anything else that you really feel
Yes.
that you just sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to build on your last point. So I saw a little glimmer in your eye that I felt in my wargamer soul. So I am the kind of person that throughout my whole life, I have found a crusade to change or make something better over here or over there. When I was in retail management, my crusade was to make my life, the life better for all of my partners and my customers. Now I'm in central retail. It's my job to make, I want to make my partners and my customers' lives better. That's what I want to do. So when I see this wargaming thing, I had a very good chat with my guys because my guys tend to tie me down a bit and keep me more level-headed. Because I was looking at this situation, I was like, I want to start a crusade. I want to fix this. I want to fix this. Like the little Michael Jordan in my head was going, they say you can't do this. They say this can't be done. Maybe you could do it. Maybe you could figure out a way. There must be a way to make this happen. There must be a way to change this. There must be a way to make this happen, to do this, to do the impossible. I'm sitting there going like, no, you don't have time. You don't have the time. You don't have the investment to go and make it. Because quite frankly, I want channels like GMG. There's so many cool indie games. And I was kind of thinking the other day, like you've got S tier, which is Games Workshop. The quality of the rules don't seem to matter as much as the quality of the models and the zeitgeist that fits it, right? There's a whole other topic. And then you've got like the tier 1 creators like Mantic, who do a ton of cool stuff. Let's start with Mantic. They do loads of great models and loads of great games. And you cannot do a video about Mantic because YouTube doesn't think anyone cares. And like if you look at Kings of War, if you look at the other thing I'm really loving the idea of at the moment is Dystopian Wars, because it's cool and different, right?
Very cool.
But if you look, there's nothing on YouTube for I'd love Armored Clash is the thing that kind of got me because Epic Warpath's coming out, which is 10 mil as well, so there's all this 10 mil good stuff coming out. But and I don't really, the question is it just that the people who are interested in those games are too busy playing those games or aren't on YouTube? That means that actually you don't get that saturation. And I think the thing that I'm trying not to take too seriously is the prospect that when it comes to Games Workshop, there's so much outside of the game that actually there's so much there to talk about. There's plenty of drama, but also like, I would rather watch somebody play 40k than actually ever play it, right? So I'm like, oh, cool. Space Marines, Orcs, wicked. I'll watch this battle report. That's quite good while I paint. So I get 40k while I paint. Okay, I'm double dipping here. Fantastic. But it might be that games like Kings of War or Dystopian Wars, the people who are interested in it, they're just going to go play it. And that is something that was called out in the comments quite a lot. It's different things. It's like, actually, is it that just Games Workshop is great content because there's a huge element of the hobby that would rather talk about it than actually do it?
Mm.
and that scares me, because I would love to cover Mantic and Modiphius with Hard War, or TT Combat with Half Tilt and Drop Zone Commander, and
Drop
like
fleet. I'm
there's
just
loads
getting
of
into drop
cool,
fleet. Yeah. Yep. Just
right,
finished my drop
like
fleet.
the
It's such a
the
great game.
the
Such a great game.
Artemis stuff
Oh,
has come out,
yes.
and that's
Yes.
and it's like there's so much cool stuff, but it's not about return on investment from a monetary point of view, because if you're doing this for a hobby, that's not the case. It's more about that no one's listening.
Mm.
And I guess if you can't see somebody else doing it, you've got to be of a particular mindset to be, I'm going to be the first one to make this work. Or, like, it's easier. So GMG used to do some Blood Bowl stuff. So it was really easy for us to go, oh, we'll do Blood Bowl like them. Like, that's cool. Don't care if no one watches. We can make Blood Bowl like them. And then someone who wants to watch Blood Bowl will have Blood Bowl that we've done in a way that somebody else has already shown it works. And when you've got Kings of War and all that kind of stuff, there's nothing out there that's showing that it really works. And the thing that scares me a little bit, and when I say scare, it doesn't really affect me, but I want more of this content out there. But like tabletop tactics are like, we can't afford to do 40k and the old world.
Yep.
So we have to focus on 40k. And I'm like,
Mhm.
guys, if you can't afford to do old world content, like this is how the what the why, like come on. So yeah, my build was on what you said there about like, surely there's a way to do it, and how can we as gamers do it. And I think as YouTube stands, it may be that there is technically no way to do it, but it's what I said in my video, which is if you follow a channel, watch the content if you want to watch the content, leave a comment if you can, leave a like if you can, and work with them, support them. Like I said, like buy them a coffee. If they're a creator that you believe in as a person, if you think they're doing a cash grab, this is I think the very much the wrong market, which old Scanner did also call out, like then don't support them. If you get tired of them going, it's over, we're done, we're leaving, I'm leaving, I'm getting rid of the studio, and just stop watching them and find somebody else who's making content that you're interested in and support. It's not about money. I don't think it's about money. It is about money, but it's also not. It's about that I've got people behind me, and that I think is the thing for creators. Like, someone believes in me enough to put a little investment in me.
Yeah.
It becomes a little bit greater, because I've done a couple of things and no one's really been interested, and it's made it really easy for me to stop.
Hey,
And when people get behind something, it encourages them to carry on, and you can break through, right?
yeah, I love it. I mean, I have my one person who gives me, I get 64 cents a month, but that to me is the most important 64 cents. And I say this as like a person, like I do this purely, just like you said, just purely for the fun of it. But yeah, that actually matters. Just a little, it tells us as creators that, it helps us. So again, I'd love to keep you on. Just two quick
Yeah, sorry, man.
questions. No. It's
Uh,
no. I love it. I love it. One, I would say any OPR content you put out, we'll definitely be watching it. So tell us, I always like to ask people, what is your favorite sci-fi and fantasy lore from a war game? You get to pick one each. So if you could pick your favorite sci-fi war game lore and fantasy of a race, like a faction, what would you pick?
one of each.
Yeah.
Let's start with fantasy. So coming up, I was high elves, I was dwarves, I was skaven, and I was undead vampires. Right. I think for a fantasy setting, if I'm playing the war game, I
Mhm.
think undead. Like, as long as you can raise dead somewhere and just spawn units, then it's good fun. It's fun to be the villain. So yeah, I think undead, right? Vampires, undead knights, wicked, love it. Like, that's great. And
Awesome.
sci-fi is actually really interesting, because you've got to support the humans, but as far as cool models go, I'm looking around the studio. What have I got? Like, you can't go wrong with mechs. Big fan of space dwarves. I'd say for one pick, give me models for creepy aliens. I think so. Alien hives, Tyranids. I love them.
Nice.
Again, it provides
Nice.
a villain. Yeah, unless you got space rats, in which case Space Skaven. Skaven
Oh,
are my Blood Bowl team, and I loved them in fantasy battles. And yeah, so I'm Skaven at heart.
very
Ah,
good. Very good. So, last question. What is your dream wargaming experience? I always like to ask this to people. So, you're a billionaire, you got all the time and money in the world. What is your dream wargaming experience?
okay, I'm gonna give two answers because I have to. One of them is I am a huge fan of the Tank Museum in the UK. I love tanks. I think war is awful, but I do quite enjoy tanks. So, and I've had this agreed with the wife. If we win lots and lots of money, then I will buy some big fields and a couple of tanks, and we'll turn them into paintball tanks because that I just
Oh,
think would be fantastic fun,
oh, that's
right?
cool. That is
It's
cool.
incredibly unsafe,
Dude, that's
but
cool. I
but
love it.
that's a great way to lose a couple of million. But from a wargaming experience, so I love Magic. I love Magic Pro Tour. And one thing I would love, if I was able to fund it or get somebody else to fund it, is live streaming of competitive wargaming is my favorite thing. So I would love, and I've done it. We've done it at Blood Bowl tournaments, and it's my favorite thing. And I would love to do more of it for any game, anything that's there, just to help tell the story and just that do the commentary, do the over. Just I love presenting stuff and like the esports vibe for tabletop. Don't care what game you've got, get me a color commentator and I will be there and we will stream it for you and it will be great. And that's my favorite thing. Like I love having a good friend with games. We have a good game with friends, telling a great story. But you get me streaming an event, and the little esports man in my head goes, okay, this is what we need. Let's go. Because I just love the idea of that. Because the Magic Pro Tour brings loads of people into the Magic space because it looks really cool, really proper. This is important. Look at this. This is cool. As a muggle, I've got no idea what's going on, but they seem to be enjoying it and it looks very fancy, right? So I'm like, okay, let's do this for other games. Let's we've got a tournament going on. Let's do the streaming. Let's bring this in. Let's get people going, oh, what's this? Why are they doing that? That must be important. That must be fun. They're investing in this. Let's go. So yeah, for me, if I had all the money in the world, it would be some kind of esports event. But
Nice.
I really, really don't think there's any money in that. So,
We need like a Tony Khan
but
for wargaming, not for wrestling, for wargaming. Some billionaire's kid to
yeah,
start
yeah,
something like that. Well,
exactly.
Ben, it's been a real pleasure to have you on. Tell us what can people see? So please go like, subscribe, comment. I need to start commenting because I've been watching your videos, but I do need to start commenting because we need to do that as a wargaming community. We do need to start just actively commenting. So, but please tell us what you have going on with the Bonehead podcast.
Yeah, so we every week we've got a couple of games of Blood Bowl live. We're in our 7 series at the moment, so we've got a couple of friends making a series of playing game throughs. We've got a series of playing game throughs. So Monday night Blood Bowl is a thing. So every Monday night there will be a game on our channel. At the moment it's Blood Bowl sevens with secret teams, which is cool. Thursday night we've got another game which is Gutter Bowl, which is a kind of a subversion of Blood Bowl, kind of thing like Kill Team. Kind of is what's going on the channel at the moment. So we've got 2 games a week at the moment. Monday night Blood Bowl's carrying on. We've just started filming our 11s championship, which is going to start coming out in September. But yeah, so every week there's Blood Bowl on our channel. We're doing recorded at the moment because it's easier to schedule in than live. We do love a good live stream, but um, it's just easier to record for me with Libby at the moment, what my little daughter and what she's going through. So it's kind of just like, right, if we record, I can stop and leave for 20 minutes and help and then come back. So yeah, we got games every week, and otherwise we do a podcast every 2 weeks where we talk about everything that's going on in Blood Bowl, and we'll pick a really like important or interesting topic, whether Blood Bowl 3 is any good yet, that kind of stuff. And then throughout the week, we'll do videos about a couple of tactics things, maybe some model reviews. We've got some fun model reviews coming out. We've got Brute Fun's team to show off. We've got Ugny's team to show off. So yeah, it's all things Blood Bowl because it's really all things Blood Bowl. So yes, if you like Blood Bowl, come over. I am working on 2 more channels, one for sci-fi gaming, one for fantasy gaming, because I had to put them
Good.
out because
Yeah.
I'm like, if that little Michael Jordan in my head wins and says, actually, Ben, there's so many cool games you want to talk about. You can't talk about it on your channel because YouTube will blacklist
Yeah.
you because because it's not Blood Bowl. So I'm tempting. I'm contemplating jumping in and doing stuff on those two channels as well because there's so much cool stuff going on, and I've spent so much time like looking at doing content and then go,
Yeah.
I can't do this because it might upset the algorithm slash the people who like Blood Bowl don't really care about this, so they're not going to watch it. And I don't want to. I don't, like they've signed up to us to watch Blood Bowl, and I don't want to put too much stuff that's not Blood Bowl in their face because that's not what they're there for. And also now YouTube is backing that up. So yeah, I'm the Blood Bowl guy, but I'm a wargamer at heart, and I'm mulling over what I can do in the other space because
That's
there's just too
awesome.
much fun stuff to talk about.
Well, and just send me a message. We'll tell you other channels. Like I said, sounds great. And just Ben, thank you again so much for coming on.
No, look, Dan, it's been lovely to talk about this kind of stuff. If you ever get bored or need a guest or want to talk about anything at all in the world, just give me a message and we can sort something out because I do very much like talking this stuff. It's been lovely to talk about it, and I'm sure I got loads of stuff wrong. So please forgive me. And anybody still watching the video at this point, don't get angry at me. My Warhammer content is dying video was not there to be rage. It was there to just try and just make everyone think about
Mhm.
leaving a comment on their favorite creators'
Yeah,
videos
I
so
think
that
so.
it helps them out because YouTube changed the rules. Like maybe I should have just put that very at the beginning. Like this video is just about leaving a comment to say thanks or I liked this or I didn't like this. So YouTube goes, people are watching and talking about this, and they share the video. Like it's woefully simple. But like you, man, I'm trying to leave more comments in more videos, but I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV, and poof,
Yeah.
it's hard enough trying to search for something on the TV than it is leaving a comment. So again, we could talk about that forever. And yeah, sorry, Dan.
No worries, man. And I'll hold you to that. I will hold you to having you back. I'd love to have you back.
Please, please
Thanks
do, man.
again.
Anytime.
Thanks again, Ben.